I didn't say in the beginning, but this is the greatest passion now for my SEL trainings is leaders must train,
Yeah.
teachers must train. It's one of my attraction points is that you get SEL, the teachers or the school districts say teach SEL, but that teacher has not participated in an SEL training, a
Yeah.
very comprehensive. So they just have a new curriculum, they got the stuff, let me go at it. And
Yeah.
most human beings are running from their feelings. So
That,
what we learn in a counseling or social work school is you cannot counsel a person further than you have been willing to go in your own consciousness.
mm,
So you cannot go out with the
yeah.
marching orders to teach SEL unless you have been in a
That's it.
comprehensive training session yourself.
That's
And
it.
that's the piece, I like to offer is that comprehensive training for the adult so that now, in an airplane, they say, put your mask on first, put your SEL mask on first before you
That's
go
it.
out there trying to
That's
teach
it.
folks SEL.
That's
Otherwise,
it.
it's you a pen, paper, walls, paint, watching the paint dry, right? Right, Derek?
That's
They watching it.
that's it.
You
You
can,
got
And
it.
it's a,
my daughter's teacher right now. I had to check him on. He's supposed to do SEL every morning. He gonna give my daughter some questions, well, the whole class questions with the definitions. So I said,
Mm,
"Excuse me, isn't SEL supposed to be a group lesson that's usually brief in the beginning of the class? I don't understand how this is SEL."
right. You're right.
Well, he is changing his march. Don't you play lazy teacher on me. But
Yeah.
anywho, it's
That's good.
important. Is not just important. It's monumental. It is the
That's it.
foundation that if you give your marching orders for any people to teach SEL, that it must be mandatory that they learn it in more than one
Absolutely.
2-hour session. It should be
Yep.
several sessions before they get out there teaching
So
anybody
true.
anything.
You were talking about the teachers and the parents having to be taught, especially the teachers. Is that part of the education curriculum now, social and emotional learning? Are they teaching that in the education schools now?
Not that I know of. I'll let Mr. Booth go ahead, but not that I know of. That's why I'm so passionate about it. They give the teachers a curriculum. I'm not sure how much training they're getting. They're probably getting trained on how to do the curriculum, but not to how to understand it for themselves. But
Okay.
Mr. Booth, since you're right there, I'll pass it on.
Sure. Sure. And so I'll just that is what your question is one of those things where if I knew then what I know now, because my first year in this director of social emotional role, it was new to our district. And so the emphasis immediately was how do we help the kids? How do we help the kids? How do we help the kids? I quickly understood as the director in this role, we got to learn how to help the teachers because and someone said it earlier, we're asking them to teach this SEL curriculum. We're asking them to model these SEL skills, and they haven't dealt with their own trauma. They haven't had the mirror in front of their face to say, I have to be the model for how to respond appropriately when I'm stressed and when I'm upset and when my emotions are this or that. And so we kind of backtrack. We're piloting in several of our schools a program called Responsive Classroom. And a component of the responsive classroom that we're adding to their professional learning communities that they have daily is having a safe space for them to have that self-reflection, to identify their problem, identify when they are in need of self-care, have appropriate language with students, have appropriate tone with students, not yelling. And so they have their own little self, hold each other accountable. And I find this type of work has to be done from their colleagues, because when it's done from an administrator to a teacher, the barriers come up, the evaluations come up, the openness gets closed. But when their colleagues are helping and coaching one another in these spaces, it's beneficial. And the ultimate benefactor of these type of intentionality is the students, when they can be mindful of their own behavior. And what the teachers started to find is some of the things they see in the students are re-triggering them because they haven't dealt with some of the trauma that they've experienced throughout their childhood. And so I think we're evolving into that understanding that we have to back up before we can help the students. It's like you said, we have to help the teachers. And it reminds me of your analogy of put your mask on first. So yeah.
we come in, when you're used to being in the classroom, you're often looking to put out a fire, right?
Yeah.
So the kid who's bouncing off the walls is the obvious one you focus on, but first you have to take a deep breath of your own before you go put out the fire so you don't actually exacerbate it.
It's good.
So Jennifer, I read that this social and emotional topic is really relatively new, maybe 3-4 years on the scene in education, or am I wrong? I don't know where I read this.
Oh no, the research base has been accumulating for 25 years
25
now.
years. Okay.
So it has been there's enough of a solid research base in social and emotional learning that we have all the research to confirm that it not only helps kids get along with others, understand themselves better, and become productive citizens, but also has a direct impact on academic performance.
Yes.
So we have all the good research, but it's the practice, it's translating, and of course there's always more research to explore, but it is translating that research into practice that is the trick. You know, there are some teacher ed programs that are integrating it, but far too few. It is the exception to the rule.
Really?
And so it is brand new. And there are some movements right now to get it into teacher education.
Maybe that's what I was referencing. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is way too new.